All right, gold mining. Super interesting world, right? And today we're diving deep into a company that one of our listeners suggested we take a look at.
Yeah, fascinating one too.
Goldmining Inc.
The
Now,
spin-off kings, some might call them.
yeah, Spinoff
I
Kings.
like that.
Now, they don't actually mine gold directly,
No, they don't.
but they have this big portfolio of gold projects,
Mm-hmm.
and they invest strategically in other gold companies. So it's kind of unique, right?
Definitely. And it's the spin-off strategy that our listeners really intrigued by. They're curious about how Gold Mining Inc. identifies these promising projects, develops them, and then spins them off to unlock value.
And they think there might be even more golden opportunities coming down the pipeline.
Interesting. Could be.
So today, that's our mission.
All right, let's do it.
We're going to try to understand how this whole spin-off thing works, who's leading the charge, and we'll look at their financials, the gold resources they have, upcoming projects, catalysts, the whole 9 yards. And we'll even compare their NAV to their market cap to see if maybe, just maybe, they're a little bit undervalued.
Lot to cover, but I'm excited to dig in.
Sounds good to me. Now, fun fact, Gold Mining Inc. was not only at Rick Rule's recent investment symposium,
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
they were also a sponsor.
That's big.
Rick Rule, he's like the gold investing guru.
He really is. And to even exhibit at his symposium, companies have to meet his strict criteria.
So that already tells us they've got to be at least somewhat legit, right?
It definitely adds some credibility, for sure.
Okay, so let's get into it. What's the deal with this spin-off strategy? What makes it so unique? And why are people calling Gold Mining Inc. the spin-off kings?
So typically mining companies, they handle everything from exploration to production, right? But Gold Mining Inc., they're doing things differently. Instead of mining the gold themselves, they're acquiring these promising projects, developing them to a certain point, and then spinning them off as independent companies.
So they're kind of like prospectors, but instead of nuggets, they're finding entire companies.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. They've spun off some pretty big names in the gold sector, too, like Gold Royalty Corp, U.S. Gold Mining, and Nev Gold.
I've heard of those, yeah.
Yeah, and our listener thinks this is just the beginning of their spin-off journey.
Now, I'm a little fuzzy on how this actually benefits them. Doesn't mining the gold yourself seem like the more profitable way to go?
Well, you'd think so, but traditional mining has huge overhead and operational costs.
Right, I can imagine.
All that equipment, permits, labor, it adds up. By spinning off these projects, they can sidestep a lot of those costs. It's the spin-off that handles the actual mining, not Gold Mining Inc.
Interesting. So it's like spreading the risk and potentially maximizing returns.
Exactly, and it allows them to attract investors who are specifically interested in those particular assets.
Okay, that makes sense. But to pull off a strategy this complex, they must have a pretty sharp team running the show, right?
Oh, absolutely. Gold Mining Inc. has a leadership team with serious gold pedigree. We're talking about Alastair Still, the CEO.
Right.
He's got over 25 years of experience working with major gold miners like Newmont, Goldcorp, Agnico Eagle.
Wow, some of the biggest names out there.
He's not just a suit, he's a real gold guy.
I like it.
And then you've got David Garofalo, the co-chairman. He led both Goldcorp and Hudbay Minerals.
Impressive.
He actually played a key role in selling Goldcorp to Newmont, which was a huge deal in the gold world.
So we're talking about a leadership team that knows how to find gold, how to develop projects, and how to make those big corporate moves.
Exactly. They've got the experience, they've got the track record, and they seem to know what they're doing when it comes to this spin-off strategy.
It sounds like a good setup, but gold prices, they're always up and down, right? Doesn't that make this whole spin-off model super vulnerable to market swings?
That's a great question, and you'd think so, but Gold Mining Inc., they've actually outperformed traditional gold mining ETFs like GDX and GDXJ.
Really?
Yep, especially during times when gold prices are going up, so their model seems to be working even when the market gets a little crazy.
So it's like they're getting the upside of gold price increases without all the risks and costs of running those mines themselves.
Precisely.
Now let's talk about their actual gold. How much are we talking about here? They got to have a ton of it, right, to be pulling all of this off.
They do. They've got a massive gold resource portfolio. We're talking 12.5 million gold equivalent ounces that are classified as measured and indicated.
12.5 million ounces? Wow.
And another 9.7 million ounces in the inferred category.
Well, hold on, back up a second. For those of us who aren't geologists, what exactly do measured and indicated and inferred actually mean?
Sure. Think of it like this. Measured and indicated resources are like finding a vein of gold that's been thoroughly mapped out, sampled. You're pretty darn sure it's there.
Oh, okay.
Inferred resources are more like seeing glimmers of gold in the distance. There's reason to believe there's gold there, but you need to do more exploration to be certain.
Gotcha. So Gold Mining Inc. has a lot of pretty much confirmed gold and even more potential gold just waiting to be discovered.
Right, and industry experts generally say you need at least 1 million ounces of that measured and indicated gold to even consider building a new mine.
1 million ounces. Wow.
And of course, location and operating costs play a role, But with over 12.5 million ounces of measured and indicated, it's safe to say Gold Mining Inc. has a pretty diverse portfolio of potential mines.
It's almost like they're sitting on a treasure map.
Yeah, with like a bunch of X's marking the spots.
But they're not just holding onto these resources, are they?
No, they're not. They have this strategy they call the gold optionality play.
The gold optionality play.
Yeah. They look for companies that have gold deposits that aren't profitable to mine right now because gold prices are too low.
So they're like bargain hunters, but for gold mines.
Exactly. They buy these potentially valuable mines at a discount.
That is a bold move. What happens if gold prices just stay low?
That's the risk they're taking. But if gold prices go up, those mines could turn into, well, gold mines. Literally.
Interesting. They're banking on the fusion of gold.
They are, and it's not just about owning those mines. They also have strategic investments in publicly traded gold companies like Gold Royalty Corp and U.S. Gold Mining Inc.
So they're really building a gold empire one spinoff at a time.
And they're doing it with a lot of cash. As of their last report, they had over $200 million in cash and equity.
Okay, so the resources, the expertise, and the cash, it's all starting to come together. But how does the market actually value a company like this? With so much potential, but not actually producing a lot of gold themselves.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, that's where net asset value, or NAV, comes into play.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's essentially the total value of all of a company's assets minus its liabilities. So you take all their projects, investments, cash,
Okay.
subtract any debts, and boom, you have the NAV.
So it's kind of like taking an inventory of everything they own and figuring out what it's all worth.
Exactly. And here's where things get really interesting.
Okay, and listen.
Gold Mining Inc.'s market capitalization, which is the total value of all their shares, it's roughly equal to their cash and equity holdings alone.
Hold on, so you're saying the market isn't fully accounting for all their gold resources, all those potential mines they have?
It seems that way. It suggests that they could be undervalued.
Undervalued, huh? So as those projects develop and they start hitting those catalysts, there's a chance their share price could jump up.
That's the theory.
That's pretty exciting.
It is. But of course, no investment is without risk.
Right, right. What are some of the things investors should be cautious about with Gold Mining Inc.?
Well, gold and uranium prices, they can be really volatile, which directly impacts the value of their assets.
Of course.
And they've been using an at-the-market equity program, which can be a good way to raise capital, but it can also dilute the value of existing shares.
So it's a trade-off.
It is.
Investors need to be aware of that. Now, one thing that struck me is that they're not actually generating revenue from gold production yet.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bit of a red flag?
It's a valid concern. They're relying heavily on the success of their spinoffs and the appreciation of their assets. It's definitely a longer-term play.
Okay, so patience is key here.
Exactly. But their track record and the quality of their projects so far suggests they're on the right path.
I see, I see. But you know what else caught my eye about Gold Mining Inc.?
What's that?
Their commitment to responsible and sustainable mining practices.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading a quote from their CEO, Alistair Still, where he talked about how much they prioritize safety,
Right.
stakeholder engagement, environmental stewardship. It seems like they're really trying to do things the right way.
Definitely. It's refreshing to see a company taking those things seriously.
We even saw some examples of their initiatives, like they're working on reducing their carbon footprint, partnering with local communities. It's like they're setting a new standard for ethical mining, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's definitely a positive sign. And, investors these days are really starting to pay attention to those things.
Exactly. Environmental, social, and governance factors, they matter more than ever.
They do.
And it makes me wonder if this focus on responsible mining could be a major advantage for Gold Mining Inc. in the long run.
It could be. It might attract investors who are specifically looking for sustainable and ethical companies.
Absolutely. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about their spinoff strategy, their leadership, their gold resources, and their commitment to doing things right.
We also touched on the risks.
And the market's valuation. But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something our listener mentioned.
Sure.
They said that Gold Mining Inc. was not only at Rick Rule's investment symposium, they were a sponsor of the event.
That's a big deal.
And for those who don't know Rick Rule, he's like a legend in the natural resources investment world.
Yeah, he's known for being extremely thorough.
To even get a booth at his symposium, companies have to meet his strict criteria, like they need to be owned in accounts managed by Rule's firm.
So yeah, it's like getting a seal of approval.
It definitely adds credibility, right?
Absolutely. It shows that experienced investors are taking them seriously.
Okay, so listener, we've given you a lot to think about today.
We have.
Hopefully this deep dive has been informative. We covered a lot of different angles on Gold Mining Inc.
We tried to.
From their unusual strategy to their commitment to responsible mining.
And remember, this is just the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah, the gold mining world is always changing.
For sure.
And we'll definitely be keeping an eye on Gold Mining Inc. to see what they do next. All right, before we go, the usual disclaimer. This deep dive is just for informational purposes.
It's not financial advice.
Always do your own research, talk to a financial advisor, and make investment decisions that are right for you.
Exactly.
But we want to thank you, our listener, for suggesting this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
Your questions are what keep us exploring.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you joining us on this journey into the world of Gold Mining Inc.
And who knows, maybe we'll be back for another deep dive on them sometime down the road.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
As we've been talking about Gold Mining Inc. and how different their approach is, it's got me thinking about,
Yeah,
the big picture of the gold mining industry,
I see what you mean.
their whole spin-off model.
Right.
Could it, shake things up?
I think it has the potential.
In a sector that's usually,
Yeah,
slow to change.
very traditional, set in its
Yeah,
ways.
exactly.
And Gold Mining Inc., they're bringing this,
It's almost like a Silicon Valley startup mentality to this.
a fresh perspective,
Yeah.
new way of thinking.
They're not just digging up gold.
No,
They're being strategic.
they're thinking outside the box.
About how to
That's
create
what got it
value.
working.
And they're not afraid to take on projects that maybe aren't profitable right now,
Right.
but they see the potential.
Long-term vision,
Yeah.
that's key.
They're playing the
It's a long game.
long game. It's like they're setting up for a whole series of wins down the road.
And that's what makes their story so interesting, right? It begs the question, could this be the future of gold mining? This model where you balance profit with responsibility, long-term thinking.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is, and it all comes back to our listeners' initial curiosity. Are they a golden opportunity?
Yeah.
We've explored their strengths, their spin-off strategy, the experience of their leadership team, those vast gold resources, their smart investments, and their commitment to doing things ethically and sustainably.
Right, right. We've also talked about the potential risks.
Of course. Volatility of gold prices, potential share dilution, the fact that they're not making money from actual gold production just yet.
Yeah. So, listener, we've laid it all up there for you.
We've given you the map, the tools, the insights.
Now it's up to you to decide.
To dig a little deeper.
If you want to dig for gold with Gold Mining Inc.
Do your own research, talk to a financial advisor, make decisions that align with your goals and risk tolerance.
Exactly. That's the key takeaway.
Always.
We can't give financial advice.
Nope.
But we can say
Hey.
this deep dive, it's made us think.
Oh, for sure. Gold Mining Inc., they're a fascinating company.
They've definitely sparked our curiosity. Their story shows that even in an industry like gold mining,
As old as it is,
Yeah.
there's always room for innovation.
and that strategic thinking
Absolutely.
can lead to golden opportunity.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's what makes this world so exciting, right?
It really is.
Always something new to discover.
A new perspective to
A
consider.
new deep dive to take.
Big thank you to you, our listener,
Huge thank you.
for suggesting this one.
Yeah, this was a great one.
It was. Your questions keep us going.
Keep those questions coming. We love them.
Absolutely. And until next time,
Until next time.
keep digging for knowledge,
Happy digging.
and may all your investments
Be golden.
be golden.